In this video, I'm going to be showing you some killer punk records I've added to my collection. So what's new? How have you all been? Are you getting ready for the holidays? Are you well hydrated? I feel like anything related to my vinyl channel has taken a back seat the past few weeks. I just feel like I've been sitting at my computer working long hours. Work has just been crazy to the point where I haven't had adequate turntable time, and that makes me a bit sad and grumpy. Like, I feel like I need a lot of time for my hobbies, or a little piece of me starts to die. And I'm probably being a little dramatic, but you know what I mean. You just need that decompression time to be swept away by music, and yeah, that's been lacking in my life recently. But let me begin. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to continue to sort of break up my vinyl finds videos into some of the subgenres I've been covering, such as post-punk, punk like this one, or shoegaze, etc. Or if you'd like me to just lump them all in a video, all unorganized and random. I'm kind of struggling lately regarding what kinds of videos my audience wants to actually watch. So yeah, what videos would you like to see more of? If you've never left me a comment, don't be shy. Take that leap and say hello. I'd love to hear from you. So I know there's plenty of you who enjoy classic punk titles. I mean, who doesn't, right? I've added quite a few to the collection since I did my top 10 punk records video, and that has been modified slightly, by the way, as I just listened to more punk rock. I'm gonna be running through these pretty quickly since there's a bundle. I mean, I got quite the stack here, quite the load, quite the pack, quite the assortment. So first off, I want to thank my vinyl community pal Arthur, and I know him from Instagram. He sells on eBay. I've gotten some stuff from him in the past, so yeah, he's been kind of just like offloading his vinyl collection, and he said that he had a copy of this album around, and he cut me just a super sweet generous deal on this badass punk album, and he sent me like vinyl and CDs. I'm gonna run through several of them, starting off with a bang, but this is Minutemen, double nickels on the dime. This is an OG press, and I don't know, I was just amazed that he had this. And when I open it, it's like still crisp, like it's hardly been played. The gatefold, and it's on SST, so 2 LP. The other one right there. So I had this on CD, so I was very familiar with it. So this album is considered their Zen Arcade, or their masterpiece. It's loose and free hardcore punk, or kind of like funk punk and jazz with some other genres. Like, it's really hard to pin this down to a single genre, but that bass and guitar interplay is just so good. There's funky rhythms. It's probably going to take you several listens to truly appreciate it. I know the first few times I spun it, I had to just break up the listening, because there's 40 plus songs and they're all under like 2 minutes long. You know, they're called the Minutemen for a reason, but you need to just devote the time. Some reviewers said that this is the definition of hit or miss, or hit and miss. There is some filler, but as a whole, this is just a terrific punk album from 1984. So yeah, just got a killer deal on this one. Next, he surprised me. I didn't know he was gonna send these, and I was just like shocked, and I nearly fell out of my chair, but he sent very special pressings of Television's first 2 albums. So I'm gonna start with Marquee Moon, because that's their first. And I know this isn't really considered punk. It's more considered post-punk, which is really weird to me, and I mentioned this before in a different video, but they're not even really considered post-punk to me either. It's kind of more like indie guitar rock of the 70s. It's very sophisticated guitar rock that the cool kids were into, you know? But I had multiple pressings of this, and I sent my 2012 Rhino reissue to my friend Nicola at Wax Reliquary. This is a white label promo of Marquee Moon. And by the way, this is a top 5 album of all time for me. So just to have an original and a promo copy is out of this world. So I'm just stoked to have that. Then he sent me an original copy of Adventure, which is their follow-up album, which, by the way, this is a very underrated album. This is on Elektra. Yeah, this one just doesn't get enough love for whatever reason. So I've talked a lot about television in the past on my channel, so I'm just gonna quit flapping my trap about them. But I just had to show those because those are very worthy additions to my collection, as well as this one. He sent me an original copy of Black Flag's Damaged. Now this is an original press. SST. This is like the definitive hardcore album, along with another album I'm going to show on CD later in the video, but look at the sticker on the back. That's really cool. If it doesn't come through, it says, "As a parent, I found it an anti-parent record." So on this, there's like themes of frustration, alienation, anger. You got Rise Above, Police Story, Damaged One. I mean, you know, are you understanding why I labeled this video as Killer Punk Records? So I'll run through the CDs really quick that he sent. And he sent me Richard Hell and the Voidoids, Blank Generation, which you can see my vinyl reissue copy back there, but it's very nice to have this one on CD. So yeah, he just included a bunch of extras that I'm thankful for. And this is a necessary punk album from 1977. And I featured it in that video, so I'm not going to say much about it. But he also sent me Destiny Street, which I did not have on any format. And this is from 1982. It's not as good as a debut. Like, there's a few great moments on here. But I do love Robert Quine, like pretty much anything he's on. So I dig the opening track, The Kid with the Replaceable Head, Lowest Common Denominator, Downtown at Dawn. There's several good songs on this one. So yeah, not a terrible album, but not an outstanding one either. And then the last one I'm going to show, it's called Live and Loud. This is the Adverts and the Ruts, and I had never seen this one out there before. The sound quality is not great, but it is very listenable. What irks me about this is there's nothing in the liner notes or inserts that indicates when these live shows were recorded. Like, there's just no information, but I love both of these bands so much. British punk is my jam. As far as the Ruts, I have a 2-in-1 CD of The Crack and Grin and Bear It, which I showed probably in a video last year. But I love them as well. And so yeah, those are the CDs and vinyl he sent me. He sent me more CDs, but they're more in like the 80s and 90s alternative realm. So thank you so much, Arthur. Very generous of you. I am thrilled to have all of those pieces, seriously. Okay, speaking of the Adverts, which I just featured, I bought this recent reissue of Crossing the Red Sea with the Adverts, and this is their debut. Love that back cover there. So this is the new Fire Records reissue from this year. Limited to 2,000 copies. What's special is the packaging, so it's pretty badass because they give you this booklet. I'll quickly just kind of run through it. But you get some reading material, you get photos, and you get lyrics, which is very much appreciated. It's a double album. The first disc is the actual album, and then the second one is singles and live tracks. I don't know, would I squeeze this in on my top 10 favorite punk records? It's kind of between this and probably one of the last few records I'm going to show you that I would love to put in my top 10 somehow. This is just the perfect example of British punk from 1978. Bored Teenagers, like I mentioned, Gary Gilmore's Eyes, No Time to Be 21, Safety in Numbers. Man, this is like guitar assault. Plus the bassist, Gay Advert. She was pretty awesome. She had kind of like a goth look to her. But after the Adverts split, I think in 79, she kind of disappeared. I think I read somewhere that she does stained glass art now. But this is a very worthy reissue, so I'm glad I picked that up at Grapefruit Records. They ordered it for me. And then I also picked up their follow-up, which is Cast of Thousands, and this is also a reissue. This one is on white wax. Outstanding record. I love the cover photo too. It's a bit more subdued than their first record. Love Male Assault, Fate of Criminals. There's the title track, Cast of Thousands. There's so many good songs in here. So this one gets kind of bashed. I think if you don't compare it to their debut, and you're not expecting a carbon copy of that sound, then you're gonna dig this. So just like keep an open mind with this one. I really like it. Okay, so moving on. Nick Schultz, who is a viewer of my channel, and he's also sent me packages in the past. He wanted to send me a few packages. So the first one, and these are amazing. These are absolutely amazing. So yeah, he sent me 3 records and a CD. So I'm going to show this 100 Flowers one first because I was vaguely aware of them and I had seen this cover art before, but this is an LA band. They were first known as the Urinals, and this is from 1983. This is a Superior Viaduct reissue, and that's a solid label, by the way. They usually release some pretty obscure solid titles, but this is very much an underground post-punk album, so if you like Mission of Burma and Wire, I think you're really gonna dig them. So there's like tight musicianship, angular guitars. Some songs I like were All Sexed Up, I Don't Own My Own Heart, Poltergeist's at Home. Yeah, check this one out, 100 Flowers. Another one he sent is Black Randy and the Metro Squad. Past the Dust, I Think I'm Bowie. And I don't really know how quite to describe this. Sometimes it's sloppy punk, maybe like art punk, but there's thick, funky bass lines. You get some Doors organ thrown in there that actually works very well. There's some garage rock, humor at every turn. If you're easily offended, this probably won't be for you, by the way, but I very much enjoyed this listen. And this is on like kind of a translucent orangish vinyl. Then the last record he sent was, now a video or two ago I mentioned a band called Units, and they were kind of like a synth punk band. Well, this is a band called The Screamers, who were also early pioneers of synth punk, and this is their demos. They never released a full-length album. So heavy on the keyboards and synths instead of guitars. Super influential, very primal. I don't know, I think these songs like may have come out, yeah, it says 1977, the demo. Screamers demo Hollywood 1977, and it's a really quick listen. It's just a few songs. But I think members of Devo and the Dead Kennedys were fans of theirs. So Screamers, check this one out. At first I thought there was like some dried blood on there, but that's just part of the cover art. But Screamers, it's so cool. Okay, he also sent me a CD, The Homosexuals, and I had never heard of them before. This is kind of a compilation of sorts. This is 70s British punk or post-punk, so kind of part of the DIY UK scene. And if you like Wire, Buzzcocks, like they actually have some really catchy pop melodies, so check them out, especially if you want to hear some experimental, more obscure punk from that time. Very creative stuff, very creative band. I encourage you to check them out. So this is very cool. Thank you so much for these records and CD, Nick. I really, truly appreciate it. Well, next we have Crass. And so this is a vinyl reissue. I know the cover, I hope I don't get banned or something, but Kurt a year or two ago sent me Stations of the Crass, and I had never heard of Crass before, so that was my intro. And I really liked their anarcho-punk vibe, so I knew I had to get more, and this is their 3rd studio album, Penis Envy. Eve Libertine, I think that's her name, she really steals the show on this one, and I had Grapefruit Records order this for me, so thanks to them. But it comes in just like kind of a flimsy packaging, kind of like Stations of the Crass did, and I don't know if their originals were like that too. But this one, this is a reissue, remastered by Alex Gordon at Abbey Road Studios, as close as possible to the sound of the original release as it was in the beginning. So there's very witty lyrics on this from a female perspective. The second half of the album has a little bit of a different vibe, but this is pretty visionary stuff, pretty groundbreaking. It's like a feminist punk album, and this certainly is not going to be for everyone, okay? But I do highly recommend it. I love Crass, everything I've heard so far. So yeah, had to pick that one up. Next we have 999. I already have 2 other releases by them. This was originally released in 1980, but this is a Jurassic Plastic reissue on 200 gram vinyl. and it's number 90 out of 500. On this one, it's maybe a little bit different direction. There's more power pop and new wave into the mix here, which I love. I absolutely dig Inside Out and Fun Thing. This is just a brilliant record. Someone mentioned in a review that it's like the Ramones, the Knack, and the Romantics, but the British version. I totally agree with that, and I recommend starting here with them, actually. The album is called The Biggest Prize in Sport, by the way. I also have an EP of theirs, The Biggest Tour in Sport, I think it's called. But anyway, out of everything I've heard so far from 999, this one wins the biggest prize. Sorry to be so corny. I'm gonna show Saccharine Trust next. So this is another band from LA. This is their first EP. They were on the SST label. This is a reissue. This is like jazzy punk and experimental, maybe improvisational. After this record, I think they were considered more hardcore, but this one's very unique, a bit strange. It seems like this band took a lot of risks, which I gotta give them credit for that. Jack Brewer, the vocalist, he may be an acquired taste for some. He's perhaps a little bit pretentious, but I like their sound. I haven't really explored anything else from them, but this is very, very cool. So I think I found out about them through a video from Pop Culture Graveyard, and I really like his channel. I recommend his channel, but this is a great release. Lots of bands from LA, and it just so happened that way, but this is TSOL, which is True Sounds of Liberty. This is their first album, Dance With Me. I actually really like this. It's really dark, gothy punk, kind of like the Misfits, kind of that like theatrical, darker vibe. But I really love the vocals from Alex Morgan. The musicianship is also just really impressive. Code Blue, it's interesting subject matter, but if you love the Damned, Misfits, Dead Kennedys, maybe check out TSOL. I don't know if I'm gonna like the future lineups of this band. I don't know. I like your input if I should keep checking out other albums from them, but I really like the dark sound of this, especially. So I think I already mentioned Dead Kennedys, like given them mentions. So I had to pick up this one. This one is Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. Lots of people mentioned this record when I did my top 10 favorite punk albums video. I don't really lean towards the more hardcore side of punk, as I previously stated, but I am glad I got this. This is my intro to them. Obviously, they're one of the more defining hardcore bands, along with Black Flag. So this is a very heavy-hitting album of the genre. It just took me a while to even listen to them, but they formed in San Francisco. I don't want to say too much about this because it is a very well-known punk album, and they're one of the more political bands of that era. Sarcasm just all over the place. I mean, kill the poor, let's lynch the landlord, Holiday in Cambodia. Oh, this has definitely become a favorite punk album of mine, and I've probably spun it 4 or 5 times since acquiring it, but it's moving its way up the list, and I see what you guys meant. Okay, this is a classic. I think there's a vinyl reissue of this from like this year, maybe a new mix. If you have that, let us know how it is. Is it worth picking up that reissue or not? I'm gonna keep moving on. So we've got Stiff Little Fingers with Inflammable Material, their debut. This is punk from Northern Ireland. So yeah, I went for the 2019 Parlophone reissue. It's like a European reissue, so the insert has the lyrics right there. I guess I haven't been showing the labels for everything, but a lot of these are reissues. So I've had 2 of their records for the longest time. I have Go For It and Nobody's Heroes, I think it's called. So I've been looking for this one for quite a while. I don't even see the reissue of it. So that's why I had to hop online and buy it. This is just one of the best punk albums of its time. It's got the defiance, the edge, the raw guitars, political lyrics. Originally released in '79. But if you want a punk album that has a little bit of everything, I would suggest this one to you. So Suspect Device, Wasted Life, Law and Order, Alternative Ulster, just killer tracks on this. And I would try to sneak this into my top 10 somehow. I really, really would. So there's that one. I do have one more to show before I wrap this up. This is Angry Samoans. This is their EP, Inside My Brain. Again, another crazy cover. But yeah, this band was among that first batch of hardcore punk bands from LA, and I kind of bought this blindly, which I don't do often. I was only familiar with the cover art of their album Back from Samoa, which rather stands out, but I saw this at Jurassic Plastic and I liked the price. So this is their first EP, $385 out of $1,500. So it's very ridiculous, very comical, so I kind of get a kick out of it. And it's an easy listen to where you can listen to it twice in a row and just be entertained. So I like that. And also this is very garage rock-ish. So they have a song on here, Get Off the Air. And that got them banned from clubs in LA because they called out an LA DJ. I think his name was Rodney Bingenheimer. But he was like a groupie too, and he helped a lot of bands become successful. The list of bands, it's a pretty substantial list. And I really don't know too much about him, but if you're easily offended, certainly steer clear of this as well. However, it's punk, you know, what do you expect? You're probably going to be offended here and there. But yeah, check out the songs Right Side of My Mind, Inside My Brain, You Stupid A-Hole. So this is good stuff as well. So I'm kind of branching out more with punk. Now, those were my recent punk additions to my collection. I'm kind of banking on this being my last punk-focused video of the year, whether it be punk or post-punk. I am currently compiling my top 10 vinyl finds of the year for the next video. So if you'd like to see what I've picked up that's pretty rad this year, then just keep on watching my channel. I do appreciate the new people here. Thank you so much. I don't know how you stumbled upon my channel, but your presence is very much appreciated here. I appreciate any comments. And yeah, let me know what you think of these pickups, these additions to my collection. Thank you to Art and Nick for the gifts, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy holidays.